Hello, it's Julie from Do Business Like a Woman. How are you today? So let's talk about working with our cycles as women. So I'm talking about menstrual cycles, and when somebody first suggested to me that I did this topic, I was like, I don't know, there are people out there that know more about this than me. I'm not sure, is anyone going to be interested? But something told me to just go with it and share. And so that's what I'm doing. And essentially, I'm going to share my experience of this because I have had some experience of this, and you'll see why when I share my story with you, and also what works really well for me. And this is really for any woman or, female person who has some kind of menstrual cycle. And even if you have been through menopause, I am told by friends that have already, been through menopause, that you still have a cycle of some kind. So if you have a cycle of some kind, this is for you, because what I know is that as women with cycles, we are more circular. Our energy throughout the month is more circular. And trying to work like a man or a male person is not where it's at for us, and tends to be really ineffective, often causing burnout, stress to the body, stress to the mind. And this has certainly been my experience, and consequences on our health. The challenge in today's society is this is literally the way our whole society is set up. So, we are so used to it, just working that way. And when I say that way, I mean in a very masculine energy way, that we don't even realize that's what we're doing, because we're like a fish in water. It probably doesn't know it's in water, right? You're like, there's that story, isn't there, of one fish swimming along and the other fish swimming along, and one fish goes to the other, nice water, and the other fish is like, what? Because it doesn't know it's in water, it's all it knows, right? And it's like that for us, having grown up in the society we live in the modern Western world, working in the masculine way to masculine energy levels is all we have ever known. And that's no one's fault. It's just kind of how it is. It's what we've grown up with. There was the Industrial Revolution, and the way that we work has been set up by men. And so that is why it is the way it is, right? But what I realized for me as a woman with a menstrual cycle is that it wasn't working. And not only wasn't it working, but it was very unhealthy for me. It was actually detrimental to my health and well-being. So part of the question over the years with my company, Do Business Like a Woman, has been, how do we work more in the feminine way? How do we honor ourselves as women with these different energy levels, these different cycles from our male counterparts? And that's been a big question for me, both on my personal journey, but also supporting other women. And sorry, my light is shaking a bit here. I think let me just move my desk a bit, and that might stop happening then. Right, that might fix it. And it's been a big question for the women I support as well, because they're finding it doesn't work for them either. So let's talk about it, because, the masculine way of working is very linear, masculine energy, the biological way that men are set up. Their energy tends to be very steady, very much the same throughout the month, and even throughout the day, right? And you can see this and not every man, I know, and there's many factors such as lifestyle factors and all kinds of things. But generally speaking, male energy is very linear. It doesn't tend to fluctuate. It certainly doesn't necessarily follow a monthly cycle the way that ours does. They have testosterone, and that peaks at various points throughout the day. They have more testosterone than us. But generally speaking, their energy levels are pretty much the same every day. Well, let me ask you, as a woman in this group, is there anyone here whose energy levels are the same every day throughout the month? I'm guessing not, right? And certainly mine aren't. Now, my story really brought this home because I have endometriosis and it was undiagnosed for many, many years. It started when I was 14 and I came on my period and I had the most painful period and I had to get sent home from school, and that kept happening. And of course, my mum took me to the doctor at 14 years old and the doctor put me on the pill. And I was on the pill for, 25 years or so after that, really long time, which is not good for your health. And what the pill does is it suppresses the symptoms. So yeah, it kind of stopped the pain or reduced the pain, let's say, but essentially I wasn't having my natural cycle. So there was no actual healing taking place. The underlying issue that had caused the pain and the imbalance and the endometriosis had not been treated. And actually the endo wasn't diagnosed until last year. But I took myself off the pill around 10 years ago when I was going down a more natural path, which was around the same sort of time that I was launching this business. And all of the symptoms and the pain came back with a vengeance. And I have pretty much, I'm going to say struggled, but I have found some healing with it. It's been a thing over the years, right? And it's always been a thing in my business of, oh my goodness, how do I manage this chronic health condition? But keep showing up, doing what I love, keep showing up with energy, serving my clients. How do I manage this thing? And I will tell you, actually, being self-employed has been a godsend because it has allowed me that flexibility that I probably wouldn't have in a job with an employer, to actually be like, okay, I came to realize that I do need to rest at my period, right? For years, I used to feel so guilty and have a lot of shame around it. And I used to try and push through. So my period would come, I would be in pain, and I'm not just talking like a little bit of pain. I'm not just talking, a few cramps. Severe pain, curled up on the floor, vomiting type of pain. But I would feel like, oh my God, I should be working. This was what the conversation in my head, I should be working. I have clients I have to serve. It's a Wednesday afternoon or whatever it was. I can't take the time off because this conditioning was so strong in me that this is just how we work and this is how it needed to be. And the conditioning was deep, right? It was like, even though logically I knew that I'm a woman, I work differently, I have my own company, I can take time off for like 3 days a month when I have my period, it was so hard. And even being in a community of women who are really understanding, I myself thought, I judged myself for it. I was like, and I still do sometimes, I was like, oh my God, I should be able to do this. I shouldn't have this health issue. Why can I not work like a man? Why can I not work like other women that I see that just seem to just go, and they're on their period and they're still able to show up and work? And I felt so bad for a long time. But I realized that this is part of my work in Do Business Like a Woman. And I was literally pretty much forced to work with my cycle because there was no other way. I had to rest during those 3 days when I had my period. No choice. So I was kind of forced by this health condition that I had and that I went through. But it was actually a good thing. It was actually a good thing because it made me pay attention to my cycle. It made me pay attention to my energy levels. Now that I wasn't just suppressing it all with the pill, it showed me, okay, this is when your energy is highest in the month. This is when you need to rest. You are a woman. Do this, right? And so I'm going to share some of the tools that I use and how I actually manage this. And it has made such a difference to my own mental well-being, to my health, to my healing, but also to my business. The more that I accept it And I'm not going to lie, I still find it difficult sometimes. I still feel jealous of women that just have really easy, normal cycles. And actually, I'd love to hear from you. I don't know that there are many of us left, these women these days, who do have normal cycles that are completely symptom free. And this is why I feel that this conversation is important, right? So for me, I actually plan my business around my period now. So I have on my phone, which I'm recording on now, I have a period app and I track my period. And it's actually just called Period Tracker. That's what it's called, Period Tracker, right? And it's a free app. I think you can pay to upgrade, but I use it, the free version. And I literally put in there when I have my period, when I stop, and it tracks it. And what that allows me to do is predict every month when my period is going to be. And this is so useful. And it's also been super accurate. Now, occasionally my period will come early. That happened this month. Ironically, the universe has a sense of humor, because I was going to do this live last Thursday and my period came early and I had to postpone this live. And that is the first time that's happened in ages. But I've been doing a healing detox and I feel like it brought my period on to try and flush out some of those toxins and do some of the cleaning house and cleaning that needs to happen in a cleanse and a detox. So I do feel like that was definitely meant to happen, but it was a little bit funny that I needed to cancel our live because of my period and I was doing this topic. So so where were we? So Period Tracker is the app that I use. Now, of course, as I go into perimenopause, and maybe you're in perimenopause, I am told that the cycle can become a bit more irregular. So we'll see. Like, I don't know when that happens, how effective it's going to be, but I'm still going to track. And this Period Tracker not only allows me, I would show you, if I wasn't on my phone, I'd literally show you that app, but it shows a calendar of each month and it shows me when my period will be. And then it shows me when I'm fertile, when my ovulation will be. And I can literally track the stages of the cycle, because there are different stages to our menstrual cycle, as you know. And what I have found is that these are really tied in with my energy levels. And so for me, it all starts with the period. So I know when I have my actual period, I'm going to be resting for essentially 3 days. It's usually 3 days, sometimes 2, where I'm not going to work and I'm going to be resting in bed. I've usually got a hot water bottle. I'm going to take that time off. That is a choice for me. That is something that I now embrace and plan for. And usually it ends up sort of being about 4 days in the month where I'm less productive, and maybe 2 of those days I'm in bed, the other 2 days, sort of either side of the period, I'm just working a lot slower, a lot gentler, and I'm not, I don't take calls during that time at all if I can help it. I don't do really anything outward facing. And I just really work with my calendar. So what I do is I look at my period app, I see when my period's due, and I plug it into my calendar. And that way I can literally plan my month around it. I can decide when to put the kind of outward facing things that take more energy, and I'll come to that. But I know that during those days I'm resting. What I have found is that during the period days, when I'm not in pain, I am a whole lot more intuitive. That can be a good time. And even sort of just around that time when I'm speaking to clients, my intuition can be a lot more dialed in. So that can be kind of useful for supporting clients and getting downloads for them. But during that time, I'm much more inward looking, I'm resting. Sometimes, if I'm not in a lot of pain, I might be doing a bit of planning, a bit of journaling, a bit of reflection. How has the month gone? What do I want the next month to be about? And so that's those kind of 4 days, let's say. And during that time, I'm giving myself extra self-care, extra nourishment, and I'm going gently. And this has been a journey. This is not something that just happened out the gate. but it is a very, what's the word, kind of gentle time. It's a very precious time in a way. And it is sacred. You know, I've got a friend and she's just become a client, Danielle, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of her work with you, but she does a red tent experience. And for those of you that don't know, I don't know much about red tents, but I do know that in the olden days in tribes, women used to go into the red tent to have their period, and the other women would come around them and look after them and minister to them and bring them what they needed and make sure they were comfortable. And it was a very sacred time. So I kind of make that experience for myself during my period, and it's very nourishing, it's very loving, and I think it does make a difference to the energy that I'm then able to bring for the rest of the month. So I do highly recommend, maybe for you, it's not you can't or don't want to or can't take 3 days off, but maybe for you, it's like you're going to just try and build in more rest during that time. You're going to say no, you're not going to plan a lot of calls. You know, you might not have all the pain, but you still will have a cycle and you will still notice your energy levels going up and down and fluctuating during the cycle. And also a lot of women get things like headaches and fatigue around their period, PMS, right? So you can definitely work this too. And that's part of the reason I'm doing my cleanse detox as well, is to help balance my hormones. So watch this phase. So right after my period is the follicular phase. I think I'm saying that right, follicular phase, right? I know how it's spelt, I just haven't said it out loud very much, but the follicular phase. So this is now where the body's preparing to release an egg. What I find for me, and this is about, I don't know, like 10, 12 days, something like that. What I find for me is that phase is when my energy is at its highest, right? And all the way through to ovulation, which is sort of the middle of the month. And then after ovulation, we have the luteal phase where you're going back towards your period. Things are kind of quietening down. You haven't got pregnant, so your hormones are changing again. And I think your progesterone levels drop, if I'm right, and you're preparing for your period, essentially. So what I found is that during the follicular phase, my energy is super, super high. So for me, that's when I'm doing podcast interviews, any sort of meetups. I love doing calls, connection calls, sales calls. I've said like interview swaps, being a podcast guest, but also if I'm doing any masterclasses, that is when I'll schedule them, because I know it's a safe time. I know I'm going to have energy for it, and I'm not going to be having sort of the symptoms that I might be having around my period time. So it's really, really good. I've noticed my energy is very outgoing. I feel more confident. I'm able to speak up. I'm able to really be outward facing. It's much easier, right? So I'm planning masterclasses. If I do any launching, which I haven't done for a little while, for myself, I've supported others with their launches, other clients, but I would do it during that time, and I will be, right? And then after you ovulate, which is obviously when the egg is released, if you ovulate, obviously if you've been through menopause, you don't. If you're in perimenopause, you may be ovulating, you may not. And if you're on the pill, you don't, because it masks that cycle, right? But I have found that as women, for me, we are so disconnected to our cycle. It's getting better. Like I know now when I ovulate, I can feel it. I know, right? But we have become so disconnected in this male-dominated world, and where the pill is dished out like candy, quite honestly. And look, I'm not against the pill. If that's the right thing for you, I believe every woman should have the right to decide what's right for her body. But the problem for me was just that I had become so disconnected from what was natural and my natural cycle and my energy levels, and it was all masked. So after ovulation, then it's the luteal phase, and that's really where things are just ramping down again, and people find that they're maybe a little bit more tired. It's sort of, for me, it's a gradual winding down into then right before my period. Now, I'm told by my health coach that I'm doing the hormone reset cleanse with that as I heal, I won't experience such dramatic symptoms, and that's what I'm hoping for. And you know, that it will be almost like an easier experience of your period text messages coming through, and like almost like you don't notice, but you do know because you're in tune with your body, but it's not like this big dramatic event. So anyway, during the luteal phase, I find I'm doing more behind the scenes stuff, you know, admin catch up, things that need doing behind the scenes, any kind of organizational stuff, organizing my dream client list, looking at what's working and what needs tweaking. And that is how I work. And then it's period time again, right? And I have found that since embracing this, things have improved dramatically, especially my mental well-being around it, because I'm no longer fighting it. And, you know, I still have thoughts sometimes like, I should be able to do this, or why isn't this easy, or whatever. But I think they're much, much quieter than they used to be, right? And I almost, I would say that I savor this way of working now. Now, I sometimes still feel when I kind of go out into the world judgment, and whether it's real or imagined, I don't know, but I sometimes do still feel that when I kind of talk about this, or I tell somebody that I don't work at my period or whatever, there still feels judgment. And I feel that that is, again, just society and the way it's set up and the way we are used to working. But I really take a stand for us as women to embrace what is best for us. And for me, this circular, is that a word? This circular way of working is so much better. And as I work with my energy levels, I find I accomplish more, I'm in flow more, but I'm not beating myself up. I'm not expecting that I'm going to have the exact same energy levels every day of the month, because it's just not how it works. So it's not a surprise when I don't. And I'm not trying to push and work like a man. I'm doing what's right for me. Now, does it mean that I don't still push through things sometimes if I, you know, need to challenge myself or get something done, or there's something a client needs? Yeah, I will do that in a healthy way, right? But I absolutely love this way of working. So my invitation to you is, if you have felt at all inspired, or you resonate with this at all, this is available to you as well. This way of working as a woman, which is very natural. To me, it feels like working with our bodies, working with the seasons, right? To me, it's like nature. You know, you have seasons. You have spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and they're not all the same. And, you know, nature's not trying to be productive throughout the year. In winter, she rests. For me, during my period, I rest, right? So my invitation to you is, if this feels in any way good to you, play with it, experiment with it. I highly recommend tracking your period using a period app, whether it's Period Tracker or another one, and just see how that works for you. I think it's going to make a huge difference. It's a very nourishing experience. So let me know your experiences around this. I'd love to hear from you. How has this felt to you? Have you struggled with it? Do you feel the pressure to work like a man? Do you work with your cycle? And if you have something to add to this conversation, because I know a lot of you here go a lot deeper into this kind of work than me. We've got Reiki practitioners here. We've got women who are super tuned in to kind of the what do you want to call it, the force field or the source, whatever, and are very psychic. We've got women here who do a lot of body work, and so chime in. You know, I'd love to hear from you. What have you got to add to this conversation? I know that somebody said to me recently about kind of doing some work on the maternal lineage side of my kind of family, and the emotional wounds that might be being carried there. And that feels true to me, and that's something that's on my radar. But I would love to hear from you, because I bet you have stuff to add to this conversation. Even if it's just your own experience, even if you don't have sort of the health symptoms and things like that, what is your experience of working as a woman with a cycle in business? Let me know. Lots of love to you. See you next week, and I'll see you here in the group anyway. Keep checking in. Do leave a comment, do leave a like, and if you're on replay, it's #replay. Bye for now.